Hey guys, so been very busy and then trying to catch up on what we left behind here at the shop. And then today, TJ Hunt showed up with his car. So you guys have seen his car many times, but we are going to make an aluminum box around this water pump. He had the other guy, Eric, build it, but they didn't take into consideration that it's illegal to have this stuff exposed in the car. You could do like this type of situation where you cover it with fire sleeve, but not the pump, and then there's exposed hose back there, which isn't really legal. So I think Top Drift gave him an exception of one time and said fix it or you don't compete again, or something similar to that. Sometimes they'll allow that. So we have to fix this before Top Drift, so Joe is on it. He's making some templates out of cardboard first, and then it'll be aluminum of 063 wall aluminum, and then there'll be a small portion up top that's removable in case you have to service the pump or the hoses there. There's a couple other things on the checklist to get TJ's car ready. I think he had smashed part of his exhaust, so we're gonna do that. Couple little maintenance things, and then he'll be ready to pick up his car before Top Drift round 2, which is this weekend, which I'll be at because I'm judging. Ooh, got some JZs out here. All right, so Ichiban JDM, that's where we get our JZ motors, or if you guys are in the need of a JZ, you could hit me up, or Drift Motion if Ichiban or I can't get one. Those are the 2 spots or 3 spots you can get a JZ. Right now it's easier and cheaper to get the VVTi. So this motor is for Rorys Car. Rory is owner of that white Supra that we had put the rays on. So what we're gonna do, put it up on the engine stand and take off the whole front cover here. We're gonna pull this pulley off. We're gonna end up replacing this pulley with a fluid damper pulley because these pulleys will wear out. This one doesn't look bad, but why risk it while we're here? Just switch it, because you're gonna end up switching it. No, this one does look bad. There's a crack in the rubber, which is what happens. The rubber gets hard, brittle, then you're revving out high RPM, hitting limiter occasionally, or maybe not even hitting limiter, you're just revving it out, and it separates and spits off, and then everything goes to crap when that happens, because this will hit your radiator, so on and so forth, and very depressing. So it looks like there's a leak too. We don't know where yet until we take this off, but most likely cam seals leaking, or maybe an oil leak behind there that's not cam seal related. It could just be valve covers. So what we do is we go in there and we start checking for different other rubber that would be brittle like this, which would be seals and or gaskets, and then we replace them, and then at the same time replace water pump, timing belt, oil pump, and maybe the tensioner pulley and a couple other things, and we'll use the Gates RPM stuff that we always use, and we'll show you guys when we do that. And then since this motor is going to a Mark IV Supra, we will be taking off that front sump pan and putting on a rear sump pan. Rory has already pulled the motor out of his own car. So he's gonna bring that motor to us later this week, and then we will pull the rear sump pan off of that motor and put it on to this motor so that he doesn't have to source another one. That was an NA motor, not a turbo. This is a turbo motor, so we will have to drill out and then tap for the flange on for the oil drain from the turbo. If you guys don't recall what that looks like, it is this area right here. And we'll use one of these guys that we get from Drift Motion. So that'll just be blocked normally, like not even a hole there, but it has like the area where you would want the hole on a stock NA. So we'll do that to Rory's pan and start to get everything ready. So this is what I'm talking about, this hole right here. We just have to drill it out and then tap those. So that's what's on the schedule for today. And there's a couple other things happening, but I wanted to share that with you guys because it's gonna be a cool project. You'll get to see, he has a think it's a 95 white NA Auto Supra that we're gonna convert to Samsonite 6-speed, and not a built motor at first, but a big single Borg Warner EFR turbo and Hypertune intake manifold, exhaust manifold. It's gonna be a really cool build. So this is the start. We're starting with the motor. So now we're gonna get to work on it. Starting to come together. Joe's been hard at work and he's really loud, like always. He's so loud. Okay, so sometimes the weather permits, you can work outside in California. That'd be like 360 days a year. So right now we are not as far as we said we'd be on like what we described that we're taking off, but this is where we're at. I thought I would show you the in-between. Over here is some of the stuff that we already did have. Water pump, brand new. Pulley, timing belt from Gates, the serpentine belt tensioner from Gates, timing belt tensioner from Gates, and then these rear main seals, rear main, front main, the O-rings for the oil pump, water neck, water pump, cam seals. He's also going to do a Hypertune intake manifold, so this is the extended throttle cable that we like to run on there, and then he's going to do a Hypertune exhaust manifold. It's going to be a really cool build, and the Samsonite. So there's a bunch of Supras with Samsonite that's happening here. Ooh, it's Renee.
Hey guys.
Oh. Okay. So, question for you guys. This is the Gates RPM timing belt. So, in the comments below, how many of you guys run this Gates RPM timing belt? Or, wait, let me set it down and get a focus on it. How many of you guys run this? It's the T215 RB. Or would want to run it on your JZ and want us to start carrying some Gates RPM products on our website. So comment below if you already do run this or you want to run this on your JZ. Let us know, because we could probably make that happen. Ooh, Joe's not making noise. Let's see what he has to say. That's all Joe has to say. What's with that overlap?
Bending the metal makes it stronger, less likely to rattle and stuff. But this part, I just marked the edges of it.
Yeah.
And what I'm gonna do is cut out these little corners and then bend this guy down so it overlaps this flush.
So it's even better. Hey, so I don't think we told people, or we might have told them what those were. Do you guys remember what those are? Can't see it very well, but Clico. If you guys don't know what they are, I want us to tell you more. We'll tell you right now.
Yeah.
So a Clico is what you use in between before you rivet something. So you drill a hole to the desired size. These are 1/8 inch, and then you can kind of mock stuff up, put it together, hold it together, and then later you just rivet it in.
And I like to use it for nut zerts as well, because it gives you a nice little pilot hole, so you can drill your size that's just the right size for the bolt to go through on one piece of metal, and then the right size for the nut zert on the other piece.
Cool. Or if your name's Dylan Hughes, you could just run your over fender there, because you bought a body kit that doesn't have a hole for a gas cap, and you just run it like that, and you just take a bunch of Clicos out when it's time to fill up your gas tank. I know you guys saw that, or some of you did. I think he's fixed that since now. Quick update on the Mark III. The beginnings of a tube front and a bunch of extra stuff compared to your normal setup, because it's a street car. It's got this huge battery in here, but Joe made a cool little tray. Everything's just tack welded right now, or a little triple tack welded kind of situation. It's not final welded. And then this is mounted in the OE location. I think he might add one more bracket to it, but he had to kind of float everything on tabs and stuff because his car was in that nasty accident. But we have headlight brackets to make, and then this front hoop here that's gonna hold the hood latch, and maybe a couple little things we're not seeing. I would think he's gonna connect into this, and then he'll do a bash bar around the front to hold the bumper that's not here right now, but we have it. So that's a kind of like a mid update, and then hopefully by the end of the week that'll get done. But just thought we'd share that with you guys. So here we are, the inside of the front cover. Very dirty on this one. Looks like multiple oil leaks or a lot just from up top coming down, but I kind of think it's leaking in 2 spots. Well, majority of everything's apart. We got a couple things to do now. Probably won't run this at all. We'll just cap that, use this to feed the turbo, then return the turbo back into here, and then the other water port over here we'll plug, because we don't need that anymore, because we're gonna run oil cooler out that way. He needs new exhaust gasket, intake gasket. We put the order in for the Hypertune bits. That's gonna be really cool. Now we just gotta clean this guy up. But made some progress today. It's a whole new day. Whoa, Joe's building things. New stuff has happened on this car, which is TJ's car. So TJ had an aluminum exhaust, aluminum. If we were in the other countries, aluminium exhaust starting right about here before, and he dirt dropped or whatever he did, went off track a little bit, grabbed the V-band, ripped that like completely, and then it, since it's aluminum, it's more brittle, it had ripped the hangers. And thirdly, since it's aluminum, it holds heat, like incredibly a lot more heat than steel would, like on its way back to the back of the car. So it was really hot, starting to melt stuff back here, and it ended up cooking one of his exhaust hangers completely to the point where it ripped through. So then this is what used to be on his car when it was stock twins, and we retrofitted it into this setup now, and then Joe made some really nice new hangers, so it should withstand multiple dirt droppings before he has to replace any of that. And then last thing we're gonna do, probably fab-related, is make a little like guard in 3 areas, or just 2 areas. 2 areas, huh? One right here, one here, where it's really not a great design, but it's working, but it's like too low in our opinion. But that's is what it is. So we're gonna make a little like cover for it, and then another cover here. So when he does dirt drop and hit it, maybe that will save it from, in theory, like bending and cracking this. It still can happen. That's why hard lines are kind of not the best way to do it underneath the car, because you bend it and it probably is gonna crack, then it leaks. But if you had a soft line, you can smack it and it'll probably just, you know, collapse and go back to where it was. The box that Joe had done on the inside is complete. Came out really nice, but since we can't get in there, we can't show you guys unless you can read Joe's mind. What is he thinking right now? I think we showed you part of it, but Joe finished it and put the seat back in. So let's climb in here. There it is, the finished product. Nice sheet metal aluminum box, aluminium, and it has removable nut zert top and sides in case you got to get in there and service the pump. That's all. Good job, Joe. Thanks, Dan. And then other little stuff we're doing, but his car should be done by the end of today. Then he can pick it up tomorrow and go racing this weekend. That's the update on TJ's car.
And all this stuff is mostly so he can pass tech without question. So there were a couple of questionable things, like not having an exhaust or the water lines going through the cabin and the water pump actually being in the cabin. So that's why the box is there. So he'll pass tech, no problem, no one's even gonna question it.
And then the skid plate on the bottom, just for like peace of mind, for like 2 dirt drops worth of really hard slamming. 3, probably gonna have to redo that stuff. Sorry, TJ, but you probably will. Okay. Then the motor for Rorys Car. No pan on there, no pump on there. And freshly painted satin black on the sides of the block. Cleaned up the head. Everything's nice and clean and ready. We're waiting on a couple parts, but as we do the reinstall of all the cool stuff that we're adding to this one, we will share all that with you guys. But for now, that's kind of where we're at. And then he's got to bring his Supra down here. So, all right, that's it for right now on that stuff. I'm hungry. Maybe it's time to eat. So we have finished TJ's car. That motor's waiting for parts. We got another S13 with a Wisefab kit that we were making some extended brake lines for. Then we rebled the brakes. So that's complete. That was this guy. Made him some XRP Teflon steel braided brake lines. TJ's car is all good to go. And top drift is a couple days away. So that's exciting for TJ. Now he's got oval exhaust again instead of his aluminum. So that kind of wraps up the day. We're still working on a couple things in the fab area, but nothing to film, nothing that exciting. But we'll catch you guys again tomorrow. No running. Okay. Me and Vicha are in here working on a 2JZ motor. You guys have never heard of these before. So yesterday he had painted it, got everything cleaned up. Today we are doing rear main, which we completed without your guys' help. It's a little more difficult to do it on the motor stand, but we've done this before, so we can do it. Then we have this prepped with FIPG Toyota, so that's ready to go in. We have fresh O-rings right here, and we even have the water O-ring for the water pump that's gonna go on after the oil pump. And we pressed in front main to the new oil pump. So this will be next. Vicha is just tightening down the 10mm bolts, the M6s that go on the back with the rear main, and then we're gonna put this guy on. We used a little bit of Torco engine assembly lube on our seal so that it slides on nice. We'll do that on the front main as well. And then after we get all this situated, we will probably be pulling off both of these we'll probably take these off, cam covers off, valve cover, cam cover, and then pull this off so we can get to the cam seal, and then we'll replace both cam seals and do a little rebuild kit on the VVTi for the O-ring and the seal, because it's just, they're so cheap. The parts are only like 15 bucks, 25 bucks, so you might as well just do that now while you're here, even if it wasn't leaking, because then you fully assemble it, get it in the car, get it running, and it leaks, and you'll just, yeah, you're like, oh my gosh, I was there, why didn't I do it? So that's why we just do it. Even if it doesn't need all of this, we'll just do it while we're here. Then also, since Rory's gonna go single turbo, we will be using this oil feed but we're gonna cap this oil feed. So I have a little solution that I do for that. Some people do it differently. Some people will kind of weld shut their own banjo bolt, but what I do is I just buy a bolt and then I buy a crush washer for that bolt and I thread it in there and it's just closed up. So pretty sure it's a 10-125 or 12, it's 12-125 I think. I don't know, I just have a lot of them and every time I forget what it is and then I recheck when I'm getting lower on stock of that. So that's what we do here for this second oil feed, because since you're not going to be running 2 turbos, stock it has 2 turbos, now we're just going to feed the single turbo off this guy. You can feed it off that. The reason people usually choose this one is because your downpipe will be here, more heat, and you got to kind of snake that around to get to where your single turbo will be. So this one you can kind of come out next to the frame rail and then into the turbo. Or please just tell me that you guys don't run it through the runners of the exhaust manifold, because don't do that. Don't do that. And then we will use one of these guys, 12-125 thread pitch over here, which is what, oh, hold on a second, need 3 or 4 hands again, but I don't have helmet cam, so I'm just gonna do this. So this is the 12-125-4 with a crush washer. This is what we'll feed the turbo with. That's pretty cool. Drift Motion sells these. I mean, you could probably get it elsewhere, but I get mine from Drift Motion. They have like, and all these O-rings I get from Drift Motion, they have all like the necessary little bits and pieces to refresh a JZ. That's, well, they're JZ specialists, so they have what you need. Also, we were over here, oh, there's another cool little thing. This is like my little, I like to organize things in bins, but this is like little accessory for JZ stuff, and I have like 5 of each thing because almost every car we work on is a JZ, or the cars I own are all gonna be JZ, and same with the guys that work here. Okay, so let's say you eliminated your water pipe that wraps around to your stock, the oil filter cooling for water. Okay, so this guy, water comes out of the block, goes in here. There's a little oil cooler for the stock setup on a JZ. Then it wraps around to this pipe. So like, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna remove this piece here. Well, it's already been, I think I just removed it for you guys. I'm gonna plug it and I'm gonna remove this pipe. It's already removed, but I'm not gonna use it anymore because we're gonna run open like that. Not open, but we're gonna run that sandwich plate that Drift Motion makes, that, or they don't make it but they sell it, that lets you run an external oil cooler. So Rory's gonna use that setup on his car. So no, I didn't remove it, so it's loose, but I removed it yesterday. So you remove this and then you buy one of these, which is British pipe thread. So it's, instead of MPT, which is national pipe thread, it's BSP, British pipe thread. So if you googled like BSP, 3/8 BSP plug, that's what you'll get, one of these. That's what you need to plug that if you're gonna do this, but make sure to use some Teflon tape, or some pipe sealer. We'll do that in a minute here, but I just wanted to share that with you guys, because some people are taking these, I've even done it many times. You take this, you cut the end of it off and you weld it shut. That works, but if you remember to buy some BSP plugs, which when I don't have it, I'll just cut this and weld it. But if you can, just do that. And then think about it this way, like if you're working on a customer car and you pay like $9 for one of these, or $10 for this plug, because it's stainless and it's kind of rare, so you order it, $10, or you take this, cut it, and the customer has to pay for your time to weld it shut. Kind of ends up being cheaper just to buy the plug, so that's why we'll do that. And then the water pipe that wrapped from the back of the water pump that wrapped around would go in to feed like heater core, and then some of the water in and out of your turbos would kind of come off of that pipe, which is right here. So, and it also I think gave water to the intake manifold. So in this case, Rory's going to use a Hypertune intake manifold. Doesn't have any water cooling. He's not going to run a heater core. He's not using stock twins. So what we're going to do, which is right here where the pipe would run around the block off the back of the water pump when it sits, you know, similar to right here, we are going to cap that. Don't need it. I mean, you could return back in here or feed maybe the turbo water cooling out of here. I'm not gonna do that. We're gonna return the turbo in here. We're gonna feed the turbo out of here. I'll show you as that happens. You've seen me do it before. And then this will just be less going on here. So that's where we're at. We're gonna start working on oil pump, water pump right now. We'll come back to this in a second, guys. Looks like a happy TJ. The pumps are on. Team pump it. So next, taking these guys off because we got new seals for these anyway, so we're gonna swap those out. That's something that usually over time will get kind of pretty stiff and not be so rubbery, and then start to leak. Usually back corner, front corner is where it likes to leak. Sometimes if you have never removed it, you won't have leaking problems, but we're just gonna do it like we said while we're here, and then once we get these off, we can put a wrench on the cam, then we can pop this guy off, take this front cover off, get to this, take that cap off, get to the seal. We'll swap out that one seal, and then Rory's motor will be all set for seals and everything on the rebuild stuff. So that's where we're at right now. It's looking good though, huh? Oh, we put a new thermostat in there.
Yes.
So
new O-rings.
New O-rings, thermostat. It's starting to come along. Okay, so it's a little bit later in the evening, but Rory showed up. Look, there he is.
Hey.
Okay,
show
so
me.
this is Rory.
Hi.
He has the white Supra. It's not here. It's not here right now, but you guys have seen it. So
My wheels.
here's his motor.
Oh my goodness.
So we cleaned it up, painted it black, started doing all the accessories, but
That's what's up, Dad.
we should have got his face when he first saw it. I missed it.
Gosh. And the smell of this room.
Well, we took apart another motor today,
Yeah, I
but
love
it's not here.
Oh, so exciting.
So that's Rory. That's him and his motor. So say hi.
Hi.
You guys will see his Supra come together. Crazy cool stuff happening, but you'll see it happen. What are you doing, Renee's?
Pickpocket.
She's strip searching me. Whoa, what are you doing? Okay.
Video on here for you.
Well, we're gonna go and talk to Rory about his motor, but you'll see more of him in his car later. Oh, he's hugging it. He's hugging it. Okay, guys, high five. See you later. Oh, high five from Rory. So this guy might be equally as obsessed with Supras as me. So I asked him to tell me, when did you start liking Supras? And he said in '93.
93. I mean, 94, I moved to Hawaii, got rid of my split window Volkswagen bus panel for a plane ticket because I just kind of wanted to be on the North Shore. But other than that, I knew the Supra was out of reach, and I've been in love with it ever since I got passed up coming back from Vegas. It was like I was at a standstill. I was like, what the heck was that? It was a freaking Supra. Just whoop. Of course, I was in my bus, and you know, it's light and everything else, but I just knew that ever since
Had to get
I
one.
had to have a Supra.
He got one, he's had it for a while, but now he's making it crazy. So I'm glad I get to help him make it crazy. I like crazy Supras.
We love Supras.
Supra.
Thank you, Don.